Peace and blessings, family. I'm your brother in the struggle, Alif. And today we're going to decipher in the cipher, does the Bible teach rape? This is a email that I received from a brother that was looking at the scriptures, and on the surface of it, it seems as though the Bible advocates rape. So what we're going to do, we're going to take and review some scriptures. I'm using the Scofield Study Bible. This is the King James Version. This is actually the 1611 translation or transliteration of the Bible. The only difference is this is like what they call a scholar's Bible. Okay, it's I prefer this particular Bible because it goes more into like the history and the science, the Aramaic, the Hebrew, the Latin, the Greek, the scholarly issues pertaining to the chapters and verses of the Bible. I mean, like just to give you an example here, in the footnotes of Genesis chapter 1, for example, it explains Elohim, sometimes El or Allah, the English form of God. And the scholars explain that this name God in the Bible actually comes from the word Allah. That's the Muslim name for God, Allah, God. Now I mean, Allah. Al means the or the God, because there's so many Allahs or so many false gods, so many mystery gods, so many wood gods, statue gods, gods made of stone and metal, and people worship stars and the sun and the moon and mountains and what have you, evil men. I mean, so we're going to use the Scofield Scholar Bible, and for my convenience, I'm not going to really use the laptop, but I'm going to use my phone. That way, it won't be tedious, because we're going to cover a lot of scriptures here, and I don't want to read whole chapters of certain scriptures, because we'll be here for hours. And you'll get lost inside the sauce. So I want to simplify it and basically address the believer's concerns regarding this, and at the same time bring it home so that you can research it yourself and look at the video later and piece it apart and use the best parts. Now, I mean, anything that you disagree with, be like, well, I don't agree with that part. I don't understand that part. I mean, or you can email me at ministeralif@gmail.com if you have some questions, comments, or suggestions. Now, when we read the Bible, the first mention of a rape, if you will, in the Bible, we'll find it in Genesis chapter 12, verses 10 through 16. So turn in your Bible to Genesis chapter 12. And what I'll do is, if I remember, I'll put some quotes from the scriptures on the screen for your convenience. But let's look at Genesis chapter 12. And I'm going to paraphrase a lot of stuff, all right? First, let's put it in context. In Genesis chapter 12, you basically have a famine that's taking place. Abraham and Sarah is going to travel to Kemet, or Egypt, if you will, which is in Africa. But Abraham has a problem. His wife is beautiful. We call good bad in this day and time. So it's like, imagine you having a bad wife or a beautiful wife. You know what I mean? Intellectually, sexually, beautiful, poised, you know, all the attributes of a queen, a goddess, a mother of civilization. You got an MGT. I mean, it's nothing more beautiful than the original woman, the black woman. All right. So you got the original woman. You know what I mean? And when you travel, some men may be disrespectful towards your woman. Now, I'm the type of person that grew up in a household with my mother, a couple of bad stepfathers, broken home, the whole nine, but I had 3 sisters. So as the man of the house, when I was a young man, I'm talking as early as 13, I mean, I had to work to provide for my mother and my 3 sisters. You know what I mean? So I basically was the manager at 2 stores for Johnny Bird, well-known old head OG from down Broughton Alley, you know what I mean, known as Yaya, and his son, thoughts of peace be upon him, was like my little biological brother. I basically kept him under my wing. That's little Johnny, you know what I mean, Johnny Bird Jr., you know what I mean, the second, little Yaya, you know what I mean, and unfortunately, he got caught up in some street stuff when I got caught up in some street stuff, and he got killed. You know what I mean, he was caught in some nonsense with the streets, but the drug gang got crazy when I went to the belly of the beast, and the young boys was out there just making a lot of money, so it was a lot of chaos. It was disorganized crime, all right? But taking care of the family was a priority for me. You know what I mean? It was like a duty psychologically. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, there was no mystery God. I was not in the Nation of Islam at the time. You know what I mean? So my thing was, you know, I was about chasing the dollar. I could not recognize God or hear God, but I was looking for God, always looking for God, always talking to God, but not getting an answer. So I rejected that mystery God, and I worshiped money. I mean, that was the thing that paid the bills. You know what I mean? That was my reality. We had to make things happen. You know what I mean? So when you read these scriptures and you reflect on it, you got to understand culture is part of the knowledge. Culture and knowledge goes hand in hand. You know what I mean? So we can't look at a situation and say, oh, Prophet Muhammad did this, that, and the other. You got to look at it in context. You got to look at it in the context of the Arab culture. Now, the uniqueness of this Bible is when you read in the Bible, you're reading actually about a whole bunch of different cultures, a whole bunch of different languages, people, men and women, good and bad. Now, I mean, you're talking about our ancestors. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in Lost Found Mazel lesson number 2 that the Holy Quran or Bible is made by the original people who is Allah, the supreme being, a black man of Asia. So when we read scriptures, we don't read scriptures with a religious, organized religious, spooky insight. That's not what we look. We don't believe in talking snakes, a God in the sky, and man are gonna come from heaven to us to feed us. We believe that the Bible gives us stories, good and bad, human conditions, good and bad, positive and negative, God and the devil, heaven and hell, rich and poor, black and white, free and in prison, sober and drugs and alcohol, you name it. Everything that we experience on earth, peace and war, politics, is all right here in the scriptures. All the problems is in there, and all the solutions is in there, if we properly interpret it or understand it. Now, in the Theology of Time in 1972, Messenger Elijah Muhammad asked himself a rhetorical question. He said, is the Bible a lie, Elijah? And his answer was this: no. It's true if you understand it. So we want to give you some understanding about this Bible. Now, I'm not going to spook it up. Now, anybody knows me. I don't do that. So everything in here, when you talk about God, the devil, angels, demons, is all talking about human beings right here on this planet, and the goals, the triumphs, and the tragedies of the human experience. So let us take and get into this here. So the context: Abraham and his fine behind wife, his beautiful queen, Sarah is traveling to Egypt. All right. Now Abraham is worried. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 12, verse 10. It says, actually 12, verse 10 to 16, actually. Now, there was a famine in the land. So Abraham went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarah, his wife, I know that you are a woman beautiful in appearance. And when the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but they will let you live. Say you are my sister, that it may go well with me because of you, and that my life may be spared for your sake. When Abraham entered Egypt, the Egyptians saw that the woman was very beautiful. Verse 15. And when the princes of Pharaoh saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And for her sake, he dealt with Abraham, and he had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male servants, female donkeys, and camels. So this is interesting here. Put this in context. Abraham has this beautiful wife. He's Abram at that time. He's the exalted father. He becomes Abraham, or the exalted father of the nations. Ham meaning black, or the black nations later on. Now, in that culture, in that context, in that time frame, women did not have equal rights to men. They did not have equal rights to men for over 6,000 years. Women did not have equal rights then. It's now July 2022. Women do not have equal rights today. Women do not have equal rights in Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, atheism, Democrats, Republicans, you name it. Racism, sexism, and classism is a worldwide problem, and it has been a worldwide problem with the Chinese, with the Africans, with the Indians, with the Europeans, with the Australians. Even on the tiniest islands, you'll find inequality. Sometimes the women have more power than the men. Sometimes it's an Amazon type of culture. Now, a female warrior type of culture. Sometimes, you hear a lot of people talk about polygamy. A man can have more than one wife. Some cultures have polygamy. A woman can have more than one husband. Brothers don't like to hear about that part. So we live in that type of dichotomy. We live in a world of contradictions. We are people that, if you open up the dictionary and see what is the definition of hypocrite, you'll see human beings in there. We say and do not. So there's no perfect anything. So I'm not pretending that Egypt was this holy, perfect culture. The Egyptians, they cut throats of the black Nubians, down south. So, you had blacks enslaving whites, whites enslaving blacks, black on blacks crime, like it is now. But that does not negate that the European the devils took over the whole world. They deceived the whole. They just took the game to a whole nother level. Now, black people look at it like white people enslaved us, this, that, and the other. They did. Chattel slavery was the worst, not just worst, it was the unique form of slavery. It wasn't like slavery like we read in the scriptures. See, when you read about slavery in the Bible and the Quran, and that's a different type of slavery. Now, the Arabs did some vicious stuff, more vicious than the American slave masters. You know what I mean? And you want to be mindful of that. It puts things in context so that you don't take it personal. You understand that things happen so that things may occur. There's cause, there's effect, there's actions, and there's reactions. Now, I mean, realistically speaking, you even had a situation that a lot of people overlook in the Nation of Islam, where you're like, yeah, the white man, the devil, this, that, and the other. And the messenger taught us, don't put all the blame on the white man. He told us in his last Savior's Day, 1970, he said, he said that's not how we do that. That's not what he's teaching. If you think carefully about what he taught us, all of our evil did not come from the white man. We had evil way before the white man, way before we seen a white person, way before white persons on earth. It was Dr. Yaqub and his ministers, his nurses, and his cremators that was murdering the black babies. They was putting pins in the babies' heads before white people was here. All right. The messenger teaches us that it was a black man that created a situation where he tried to get everybody to speak the same dialect, and he couldn't do it. And like a mad dictator, he tried to kill everybody on earth. His aim was to murder everyone on earth. Everybody. Kill all the black people. Everybody. Every single human being on earth. He didn't think it. He actually tried it. He literally, like a terrorist, drilled into the earth and filled it with high explosives. And the messenger said he blew up part of the earth 66 trillion years ago. White folks ain't come into 66 trillion years later. They just been here 6,000 years. This black man blew up part of the earth 66 trillion years ago. The messenger says in The Supreme Wisdom, his first book, 1957, I got it right here on the shelf. He basically tells us, we used to have 13 tribes of Shabazz. We now have 12. Why do we have 12 tribes of Shabazz instead of 13? Because he killed 1 billion people. He killed the entire tribe, this black man. So I'm not speaking in the context of racism, nor am I biting my tongue and denying like the devil is the devil regardless of place or time. But we have to understand that the white man came out of the black man. The devil came out of God. Lucifer was in heaven before he was on earth. Not in the spooky sense. I'm just speaking biblically. When you understand the context. When you understand the context, the book of Genesis, genes is the book of beginnings, the book of genetics, the book of origins has God, Adam, Eve, and the serpent is in the garden too. So there's something wicked already in this paradise. And God is like, look, you can eat anything you want, but of this forbidden fruit, don't even touch it. All right? So we have a deep analogy here, deep mythology, a deep symbolic story. But some people take it literally and think that Adam and Eve bit a forbidden apple. The Bible don't say nothing about no apple. They don't say what's in there, what kind of fruit it is. According to the region, it probably wasn't an apple. It might have been a pomegranate. It could have been a fig, a date. That's the type of fruits that grow there. So we look at the scriptures from the light of the messenger's message to guide us through the age of mess. So we don't read scriptures and interpret it with anything spooky. Now, one of the things that some people do is, some people think that the messenger and Master Muhammad plagiarized the teachings or stole the teachings from their teacher or from their book. Master Fard Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us wisdom is independent of anyone. This is why we see more and more. We see more to the depths of things. Now, he explained to us that Master Fard Muhammad gave him 104 books to study in the Congressional Library. He explained to us Master Fard Muhammad wasn't no abracadabra spooky guy. He wasn't no mystery guy. He wasn't the Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. He was a real man. His father taught him. His uncles taught him what they knew. He studied in the secret vaults of Mecca. His father would spend great sums of money and travel around the world and pay for information. He was a knowledge seeker. His father's like, I don't have the information in my head. I got some, and I'm going to drop that on my son. I got some ancient libraries. Now, we got libraries, the messenger said, that with records that go back 76 trillion years. That's how long the paper could actually last. The parchments, the records of that. So here we have Master Fard Muhammad in the vault studying 42 years. Now, his father's going to Africa, getting information from Africans, bringing it back, teaching the African information to his son. His father's going to India, getting the ancient Indian sciences. He's going to China. He's studying Buddhism, Hinduism. The Ahmadiyya movement was real popular in the United States of America. Master Fard Muhammad is getting all this information from everywhere. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is getting information from everywhere. And he told us in Message to the Black Man, study the truth, and if you find it to be the truth, lay claim to it. And he taught us, if you went down south and you seen an old racist white redneck man chewing tobacco and he spoke the truth, bear witness to that truth. So the truth is not personal. It doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to you. So it's nothing new under the sun, as the Bible teaches us. You know what I mean? So we're not claiming to be teaching something new. The scriptures teaches us that He, Allah, makes all things new. What it is it's like if you have, I'm just thinking about a hip hop thing of Jay-Z for some reason. Jay-Z just popped in my head. Basically, Jay-Z was basically like, you made it a hot verse. but basically it's like, you can't say that your book, the Bible, the Quran, the Hadith, the Septuagint, the Vulgate, the Sanskrit, the book of coming forth out of darkness to the light, your Messiah, your Mahdi, Krishna, your gurus, your rabbis, your imams, your wazirs, your ministers, your what have you, your reverends, or whatever you want to call, they all are worthy of respect and appreciation. There are countless ones, men and women, black and white. They are white historians and scientists that we study that stuff too. Now, we study the sciences of life. Now, so we want you to understand how the Nation of Islam attracts and repels truth and falsehood. Now, everything in the universe is Allah's. He set it in motion. He, Huwa Allah, He the God, is the one that sparked it. So if you take and spark a match and light a candle, and you take that candle and light another candle, and another candle, and another candle, another candle, another candle, it's like, it's nothing personal. You just lit up the whole universe now. It's stars everywhere now. They're without limit. You can't even count them. It's too vast. Now, our galaxy covers 157 quintillion miles, according to Master Fard Muhammad. Our universe covers 230 continuous 640 quadrillion miles. So we don't look at the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad like they came in a vacuum and Master Muhammad was the only one, the first one to teach the black man is God and the white man is the devil. It's like the Chinese taught the white man is the devil. I mean, when they had the Opium Wars, they was like, these is devils. Is you crazy? They got China looking like Kensington and Allegheny in Philadelphia. Everybody strung out. Now I mean, it's like flooding the hood with crack. Now I mean, so their actions and deeds were that of the devil. They went everywhere. That queen that you see the Jubilee celebrate, that queen and her ancestors put that foot on everybody's neck that they came across. Now, I mean, they put that foot on Africa. Now I mean, so we as the oppressed are justified in trying to break the mental and physical and economic and moral, social, and political chains that they used to enslave our people with. Now I mean, so part of that is understanding this Bible. Now I mean, which is the same as the Quran. The Bible and the Quran is the same. They come from the same script. The Messenger teaches us there's going to be a new Quran. There's going to be a new Islam. And the devils and the Orthodox don't like to hear about that. Now I mean, and of course they naturally, but they want to hold on to that thing. Now I mean, you know, they got juice right now with that. But the white Muslims is running that. Now I mean, you know, so our thing is we're setting up something that's going to be black owned and black operated. This, the message told us, he said, this Islam is going to be led by black Muslims only. Fruit of Islam, Muslim girls in training. Now I mean, it's like, we're not trying to build a nation in America. That's the start. We're trying to take back our universe. Everything. Everything and everyone in creation is of Allah, the mind of the original man. So let us look at this again. So here we have Abraham. Now, Genesis chapter 12, verse 10. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarah, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. They will kill me. So here, under that system, powerful men, rich men, they had so much power that Pharaoh, which means house, or the God King at that time, he gave Abraham slaves. He left, here's some beautiful women, here's some strong men, here's some cattle, here's some, basically he's giving him money. He's like, here's some money. I want to give you your dowry as they had it in ancient times, because he want to make Abraham's wife, who Abraham tricked him and lied to him and said that it was his sister, he want Abraham's sister to be one of his wives because she's beautiful, she's fine. You know what I mean? And the scriptures goes on to say, he treated Abraham well for her sake. He could have just took her, but he didn't. He was, you know, he's trying to be a, you know, just because you're a pharaoh or a king or a sultan, you know, some of them tried to be fair. I mean, you know, that doesn't mean that they was not dogmatic when they had to be dogmatic. That didn't mean that they wasn't the aggressor sometimes. Now I mean, that didn't mean that they was on the offense sometimes. Now, let us now turn our attentions to another rape in the Bible. This rape was from a woman attempting to rape a man, if you will. This is Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Turn to Genesis chapter 39, verse 1. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, brought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did. Joseph was a man that when he made it happen, it happened. Okay? Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and of all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Now Joseph, verse number 6. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, verse 7. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." Now here you have sexual harassment. Joseph is working for the boss, and the boss's wife is cracking on him. And he's trying to ignore her advances, but she keep coming at him. Verse 8, but he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you." Divine ethics. If you can't trust a man around your woman, you can't trust him around yourself, because your woman is yourself. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? See, Joseph thing is like, okay, I can sneak and sleep with you, have sex with you, and you'll know and I know, and maybe your husband will never find out. But God knows, meaning my conscience would know. So he rejected her advances. And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. He tried to avoid her because he seen she was letting lust fill her heart. One day he went into the house to attend to his duties, verse number 11. One day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out the house. Now she tried to force him. He ran out and tore his clothes, getting away from her. Not attacking her, trying to get away from her. When she saw, verse 13, when she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, she called her household servants. "Look," she said to them, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed." Now she claiming rape. He got the man a fucking rape case. Come on. "When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." Now he's innocent. This is his boss's queen. Know what I mean? And she talking about she screamed. She's basically setting him up to be killed. It's not just a thing of going to jail. He can get killed. Know what I mean? This is A deep thing. She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. Verse 17. Then she told him this story, meaning she lied. The Hebrew slave you brought us came to me to make sport of me. But as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. When his master heard the story his wife told him, saying, this is how your slave treated me, he burnt with anger. Of course he did. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was there in the prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. So here it is, this young boy had a good heart. He's a good dude for real. They set him up, know what I mean? He was a boss in the street. God was with him. When they set him up and put him in the penitentiary, he was a boss in the penitentiary. Because God was with him. If God is with you, who can be against you? So you got to understand that when people misunderstand things, in their ignorance, in their jealousy, they will side with the mischief makers. But that's in the struggle. You can't get derailed. You have to keep the faith. You have to pray within and work without and be true to yourself. You know who you are. You have to have the confidence that Master Fard Muhammad is real, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings are true. And your thing is, my life, my death, and my sacrifices is all for Allah, Sakim, the God in person, not a mystery, not a spook. So you have to keep going forward. And when you read Joseph's story in the Bible, as well as the Millennium Muhammad Holy Quran for that matter, you'll see that he eventually going to get out of jail. And even though the setup artist is going to try to set him up again when he gets out of jail, the scripture says in the Holy Quran that when the women peep it, they like, this is the guy you was talking about? This is the one you were slandering? The scripture's like, he looked so good to them, they were supposed to be cutting fruit. They accidentally cut their hands or cut their works. And they said, I quote, surely this is an angel of God. So you have to stay focused. The scriptures does not approve of rape. The scriptures teaches us if you are married and you have sex with another man or woman, that's adultery. The penalty, according to the Bible, is death. If you're not married and you have sex outside of wedlock, you fornicate, the penalty is death. If you rape someone, according to the Bible, the penalty is death. It's not that you just get a father some money and marry his daughter, and she's forced to marry her rapist. That's not what that's talking. It's talking about it in a cultural context, in an Afrocentric Arabian culture. It's like a Hebrew, Afro-Asian cultural context of 3,000-4,000 years ago. Okay, let me close out with this Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 23 to 27. Well, let me read verse 24 to give you, to put it in context. Text for you. It says, "Then you shall bring them both out of the gate of that city, and you shall stone them to death with stones. The young woman, because she did not cry for help, though she was in the city, and the man, because he violated his neighbor's wife. So you shall purge the evil from the midst of you." Deuteronomy, in that codification of the Mosaic law, it also teaches them and teaches us, if a man seizes or rapes a woman, the man should be killed, but nothing should happen to the woman. But if a man and a woman gets caught having sex, the man should be killed and the woman should be killed. So when we read in Messenger Elijah Muhammad's teachings about the narrative of the historicity of Isa Jesus, the real Jesus, the prophet Jesus, the black Jesus, the messenger teaches us that Mary's father was stressed because he knew that if her and Joseph had sex, the penalty was death. So the baby mama drama was all that stuff that resulted in what we call the Christ today. But there's nothing false in the scriptures. What's false is our perceptions. Us looking at a piece of the puzzle instead of the whole puzzle. Us falling for the devil, mixing real knowledge with real tricks and feeding us tricknology, and we go for it, the okie doke. We have to understand that God is not a spook. God is the sure reality. Peace and blessings, family. I'm your brother in the struggle. I'll leave.